Pokemon series has seen a serious decline in quality within the past decade or so. It started off slowly with X and Y, which was just a bit too easy. Albeit, I actually enjoyed Gen 6, unlike many others, but I'll save that topic until I can get my hands on a 3DS capture card, aka never. Fast forward to the Switch, and we've got Sword and Shield receiving serious backlash. I haven't played them myself, so I can't really say much for them, honestly. As well as remakes of Diamond and Pearl that look, suffice to say, I never picked those ones up either. To follow up on the Gen 4 hype that those remakes brought to the table, Game Freak would get a bit experimental with their next title, which would come out mere months after the remakes. This, justifiably so, had me pretty skeptical as to how well the game would turn out, so I was rightfully turned off from getting my hands on it initially, waiting to see some reviews come in at least. Which, you know, as a game reviewer, that's not really the type of mentality I should have. I did want to take a look at this game through a critical lens, but I didn't actually plan to make a video on it at first. And this isn't even a full review. I still have yet to play most of the game, I just kinda wanted to get my thoughts out there on it thus far, because there would already be a number of better critical looks out there for the game. And I did want to get a smaller video out there for you guys while I work on some bigger ones. Very slowly, but you know, I'm here. As such, I likely won't make a full-on review for this game in the future, at least not yet. Going into the game knowing of the risks to their experimental approach made me pretty excited above my nervousness, however. Game Freak actually trying something new, breaking away from their formula for once. Good or mediocre, I looked forward to a sort of breath of fresh air. Based on the types of games I review, platformers and adventure or action sort of games, I might not seem like a Pokemon guy, but I do love the series quite a bit. I've only reviewed Pokemon Snap, but that's mainly just because, to tie back into it, most of the Pokemon games I do love, like Pokemon Emerald or White, have the same cookie-cutter formula. Aside from that, they'd be difficult for me to capture, but I feel I would also run out of things to say in the gameplay department. I do love a good vanilla Pokemon playthrough and all, but there just isn't much to say that can't be summed up in a single review of one generation. And that's where Pokémon Legends Arceus comes in. Arceus? I think it's actually Arceus, but I've always said Arceus, so I'm probably just gonna say that. Don't get mad at me. Pokémon Legends Arceus is giving me a chance to talk about a Pokemon game in a way that I just couldn't before. It's gonna be an interesting one, so I'm pretty excited to make this video for you guys. Especially since, you know, it's kind of rare for me to look at a modern game, besides Animal Crossing and Among Us. But anyways, let's just jump right into it. Right off the bat, we're picking our appearance as some godly figure speaks before us. As the title would lead one to denote, it's Arceus, the Pokemon known for being the creator of the universe. He gives you a glowy smartphone and then sends us through a time-space sort of portal. We wake up to 3 Pokemon staring us down, behind them a professor asking if we're okay. His name was actually Professor Laventon, and we as the player find ourselves with Pokemon catching skills like nobody has ever seen. With the types of Pokemon and people we encounter, it's clear that the Hisui region in which the game takes place is the Sinnoh region of Gen 4, but in the past. We've even got Jubilife Village, which would clearly later go on to become Jubilife City in Diamond and Pearl. Pokeballs were just invented, and up-and-coming Pokemon trainers were a very new thing. Since we're from the future and have the aim, the throwing arc, that very skill, we are prime material to join the security corps of the Galaxy Expedition team led by Captain Silene, a clear parallel to Team Galactic in Gen 4 run by Cyrus. Being the evil team of those games, it's interesting to see us working for them before their downfall. Whether or not we get to see said downfall, I still don't know. So if you do know, just refrain from letting me know in the comments because I still have to beat the game, please. Along the way you'll meet new people, trainers, and teams to work with and or fight against, with the story itself, from what I've heard at least, being good enough, which is exactly what I'd expect from a Pokemon game anyway. Getting into the gameplay side of things, it's quite the departure from your typical 8-gym, town-hopping structure from the main series games. Firstly, you're led by objective markers that can be seen in-game and on the map on your glowy smartphone. There are both required objectives and optional ones, with the optional ones being pretty cool little tasks for some rewards. For example, there's one that takes place within Jubilee Village, in which you need to distract these 3 reckless Bidoof so that this chick can catch them. While you are an outsider to this world, people look up to you as a Pokemon trainer, which was a difficult feat at the time, so it makes sense why so many people would be out for your help. With many of these being fetch quests of sort, they aren't exactly the most fun to go out of your way to do for me, but completing them on the side unintentionally is still pretty nice. Outside of the game's side tasks, Professor Laventon is looking for you to complete the region's very first Pokédex, which is a simple journal in this game. I do quite love the primitiveness of this game's technology. By catching, defeating, or interacting with a Pokemon in specific ways, you can complete that Pokemon's Dex entry, getting money and ranking up as a Security Corps member along the way. It's just plain fun, man. Just looking around these areas, finding new ways to interact with Pokemon. It's just plain fun. It's something new, and I do quite like it. Having this new layer of depth with which we can interact with Pokemon is just really refreshing. Like this time I found a Baneri, and I just fed it a berry. Cute. I actually found a shiny Shinx for my team off camera, which was pretty sick. I wish I recorded it, but I was on handheld mode and my Switch storage was full as hell, so I couldn't save the video or anything, but from what I can tell based on what I've seen online, the shiny rates in this game can actually get pretty damn good, which is pretty exciting. Honestly, I'm not the type of shiny hunter kind of guy, like, that's just not my kind of life, like those people who will have like 4 DSs open or whatever and just like soft resetting. Like, I've done that before and I just can't devote myself a lot of the time. I've gotten, you know, a couple of shinies from doing that, like this shiny Lapras.
Okay, so I've been chaining for a few hours now, and I just found a shiny Lapras under I think it was under 3,000 soft resets.
Oh, this shiny Mudkip in my Pokemon Ruby. It took me 10 damn days of soft resetting. But hey, it was purple, so I wanted it. But I'm getting off track. Once you get to some later areas, these distortion bubbles can also appear, which spawn a rarer but much tougher Pokemon for a limited period of time. These are great opportunities to expand your decks and your team. I even got a Porygon from one of them, one of my favorites. The battle system isn't too dissimilar from any other Pokemon game, still being turn-based. However, the inclusion of camera and character movement is a nice touch, adding a sort of illusion of real-time combat. The question is, would I have preferred real-time combat? I'm not totally sure. I think it would have been interesting to see them go in that direction, but maybe that's veering a little too far into Game Freak's experimental phase right now, so maybe next time. Pokemon's moves can also become mastered now after they level up enough. Once a move is mastered, you'll also have the option of powering it up at the expense of some speed, or speeding it up with the expense of some power, adding another layer of strategy to the battle system, which is always appreciated, even if it's not that much. In the wild areas, you can also encounter these big-ass, powerful Pokemon called Alphas. While they have some really good stats in comparison to normal Pokemon you find in the wild, they are pretty difficult to catch and they pack quite a punch, so you're gonna want to use some strategy when it comes to catching them, if you choose to do so. Being a level above the Alphas, there's also another type of Pokemon called Nobles that, from what I can tell, are basically the main bosses of the game. At this point, I've only battled the first 2, which I unfortunately don't have footage of the second one, but it was definitely an interesting shakeup to the gameplay. Granted, the aiming isn't exactly too challenging, and it was over in a couple minutes, but I do look forward to what the other ones will bring to the table despite this. Control-wise, this game, honestly, straight up, made my mind go straight to Metal Gear Solid, specifically 3 and 4. I don't know, those roll jumps that can, if held down, transition straight into a near ground position really reminds me of the way that works in those games. And the context itself, being crouching and sneaking around through the grass scouting out Pokemon, really reminds me of the more wilderness-focused environments 3 and 4 went for, which I love those games, so that aspect of the gameplay is well appreciated by me. You eventually unlock the Celestial Flute, which you can use to summon rideable Pokemon, kinda like the way it worked in Sun and Moon. So far I've unlocked 3 of these, for land and water, and they're really convenient for traveling around the world faster, especially Wordeer, which is the first one you unlock. I think it's pronounced Wordeer, Wiredeer, Wiredeer. Just make sure you don't jump off from too high. I think this was actually my first time ever blacking out in the whole game, so damn. Oh, and there's this like a balloon side quest thing you unlock right after you get it and you like run into balloons, and it's easy, but it's fun. We also see Game Freak dipping their toes in one of the industry's latest crazes, crafting. In general, this is kind of a turnoff for me. Although this game isn't really too heavy on it, unlike a certain other game that we've looked at. Well, 2 games, I guess. I do find it kind of annoying that you have to upgrade your inventory space one singular little slot at a time with this guy in the Galaxy Team HQ. I don't know, man. I do run out of inventory space quite a bit. It's not that hard to free it up or anything. Like, I could just throw something away or craft something to use up a material. But I do kind of wish the inventory was a little bigger, although having the box there at each camp does help. And I do understand the fact that they may want to reinforce the idea of having limited space in the wilderness. From a visual standpoint, the game definitely shines in dusk hours, cause damn am I a sucker for those sunset shades. Aside from that, I think it looks alright. People have complained about the game's visuals quite a bit, and I do agree to a certain extent, but it's not as bad as I'd perceived before playing it. However, the pop-in can be pretty bad at times, and Pokemon that are far away but still in frame have this sort of low FPS effect that's pretty distracting. We saw this in an early trailer with a Chingling, but I thought it would get fully resolved regardless of distance. I guess I was wrong about that, although I've never been too picky about a game's visuals as long as it's fun, which this game has achieved for me so far. Regardless of the environment's visuals, the music really sticks out to me. It's sometimes pretty subtle. Or maybe you get into a battle and then it gets pretty intense. Or you're in the Crimson Mirelands and you hear this banger come on. So overall, the music has been great so far, as it has been for basically every other Pokemon game, so I'm not too surprised. Overall, so far, I'd say Pokémon Legends Arceus is a pretty good game. I don't know if I'll like it any more or less in the end, and its cracks do show in some areas, but regardless, it's definitely a step in the right direction for the series. It sold very well, just as they all do, so I wouldn't be surprised if we get another Legends game for another generation. Whether they work backwards or forward from Gen 4 is up for speculation, but let's just hope if they release a Gen 5 based one alongside the release in Black and White remakes, just like this time around, we'll see some visual upgrades. Namely in the remakes. Also, this is actually quite a few days after recording the original voiceover, but this morning I woke up to see that the newest generation of Pokemon has been announced. And it looks like it kind of follows in the footsteps of this game, fully embracing the open world aspect of it, this time actually being fully open world. So, I am kind of excited to see what that game brings, and hopefully I can do a full review on that game in the future. I'm sorry about the lack of uploads, but I am slowly chipping away at my biggest video yet. My motivation to make videos has gone down as high school goes on, but when it comes down to it, this is still my passion. Regardless of the lengths that you guys will unfortunately have to endure sometimes between uploads, I'll always find myself coming back to content creation because this is what I love to do for you guys. So, thanks for sticking with me. Please leave a comment letting me know how you feel about this game if you've played it, or if you ever plan to pick it up if you have yet to. Were you on the fence and did I sway your decision in any way? Let me know. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like as well. The support is appreciated, and the more you guys help out with these things, the more widespread my content can hopefully become. Subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure you turn on notifications as well. I do have bigger things coming in the future, regardless of how long they take. Hopefully I'll see you all again soon. Bye.